Ronnie, have you seen about the face on Mars?
I did actually see about that, yeah. There was a lot of speculation whether or not it was just shadow formations or if not only the face on Mars. Did you see the this was a few years back, I think. There was an exact perfectly square opening into a mountain.
So I did see that.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of images. That one was cool, actually. That one was cool. This perfectly fucking squared image into a mountainside. I was gonna say, there's a lot of images about Mars, and they don't, like, some of them are reaching. You can find, there's a lot of them. So some of them, people will be like, look, it's a parrot. Yeah, or they'll be like they find, or they'll be like, oh, this fucking rock looks suspiciously like it was stacked on top of another one, like, and that's a little reaching for my taste, but there are crazy shit, like, so that perfectly squared entrance into the side of the mountain is one for sure. The face on Mars, you guys, is like, it's a face. Now, here's the crazy shit. This is where we just get nuts with it. It's a face. You just look at it, and it's a face. There's also pyramids right next to it. Perfectly symmetrical. And then, when NASA was pressured, they had to be pressured because they go, isn't it fun? They actually put out a statement when somebody zoomed in on the image, goes, look at this goddamn enormous face, it's miles long, somebody made this. They go, isn't it funny that we get our, excitement all up and there's some shadowing and stuff off of rocks, and they go, that's a face, dude, and only half of it is shadowed out. We can clearly see the mouth, the nose, the eyes on the other.
And this is where the Photoshop thing comes in.
Yes, and
as soon as they started getting called out on it and people were more really trying to go in depth on it,
they wanted a second picture, Ronnie.
They wanted not only second pictures, they wanted a lot more pictures of it.
Yeah.
But they ended up photoshopping it to make it so grainy that it just looked like a mountaintop.
Yeah, and why? Okay, and so here, I just want to do this real quick, about this conspiracy. In my mind, if you're NASA or anything, we're talking about this particular one, but anything in life that's like this. If it's like, oh, this is a conspiracy, NASA doesn't want to admit it's a face. Look, it's a face. Take more pictures. Then they go, we don't wanna. We don't.
No.
Yeah, we want to take pictures of other than sand and stuff. I mean,
I want to look at
that
rocks.
looks bad. You know what I mean? And then when you're forced into it and you take one and then you're caught blurring the image on purpose, where somebody can just go onto Photoshop and you're basically undoing actual Photoshop of the image and see that it's even clearer of a face. The next time they must have been like, oh shit.
Sure. And it's not to say
why would you do that is my question, because I'm totally here to I want an explanation. That's what I'm trying to do with the half and half. So we want explanations. So if you give us one that is okay, then that's great. That's what we want. We don't want to be diehard conspiracy theorists, but when you do that sort of thing, you're only making it worse.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, one of my favorite conspiracies on Mars and the face and the pyramids, how there used to be civilizations already on Mars when it did have water and was a blue planet.
It did used to, right?
It did.
I mean, that's pretty much that's not even a conspiracy. You wouldn't call that a conspiracy. That's like a lot of scientists concede that it used to be more like us. Mars,
yes, correct.
Our planet.
It used to have an atmosphere, and once it lost its atmosphere,
think that.
when it became how it is now. But there is a whole lot of theories, whether they are conspiracy or not, that what might have ended the civilization on Mars was nuclear war. Because they are finding traces of certain chemicals that do come from nuclear warheads. And with the craters and everything like that are so close to what could have been a civilization, in that dirt is where they are finding all of those types of chemicals. I think it's like I can't remember the exact name of it. It's like xenon something or...
Oh, xenon that you get only from...
nuclear... Yeah.
There's no other way to get that.
There is no other way to get that. And we have done testing here on Earth with nuclear weapons that has caused the same types of things.
And that's the only time it's left around.
Yes. And with it being so close to what could have been cities...
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, so with it being so close to what could have been cities, could mean that was the extinction. They're
close to where they have the face.
It is.
In the pyramids. Yeah.
It is.
And that's where you'd hit.
Obviously, it's a city.
You know,
but it is very fascinating to think about if there was already people on Mars and they destroyed that planet. Then you look at what we're doing to our own. You know, we're kind of heading in that same direction. So who's to say that? So who's to say that the aliens aren't really us and we just moved planets because we did destroy our own first planet?
It could be. It could be, dude. I mean, it could be. I don't, like, again, I'm not ready to fall into...
Oh, no, not at all. It's
That's
just...
very interesting. But here's the thing, that this is the way I compartmentalize it. I compartmentalize it by saying, that's a good theory, but I'm not ready to fall into it. But then I go, how about in general, just that regardless of if they were us or they were wiped out, the fact that there's a face and fucking pyramids and weird shit on Mars like that, and the fact that most people think that used to be a habitable planet like ours, and the fact that when people go, is there life out there? I always think to myself, and I love to say this, I'm going to say this a lot on this podcast, could there be life on this planet where it technically could sustain life? We already watched it happen once. It fucking happened here. We're sitting here right now.
Yep.
So it happens when it's possible. It happens.
Yeah.
And so if you take so even if they didn't, some of them escape and come here. That's a cool theory too. Even if they didn't and they're just wiped out, or even if they're I mean, the fact that there's that fucking face in those pyramids and that they found...
Not to mention, since they are pyramids,
there must have been something there, dude.
Every civilization in our humanity on Earth has some sort of a pyramid. Like every culture, everything.
Which is fascinating.
Is a certain type of a pyramid.
What do you make of that? If you take a second, take a minute. We're deep in. No one's listening by now.
Oh, it's fine.
Let's take a minute. What do you actually make of that? Why a pyramid as a all-inclusive thing that seems to touch every culture and generation and civilization wants to build one?
From a conspiracy point, it could act as a beacon.
I've heard that.
That's the conspiracy I've heard. Is that it's a beacon to try to communicate.
Well, there's something to that.
Yeah.
There's something to that. For instance, the pyramids... in Egypt, the most famous of all the pyramids.
They have not running electricity.
No, yeah.
But they do have electrical
energy.
Currents.
They create an energy. And not only do they create an energy, the same way they're creating an energy is due to sound.
Yes.
And the sound that vibrates through them, and the way that they said, these are tombs. When we found them, we go... These are tombs of old pharaohs because we found that they like to bury pharaohs in these extravagant things. We don't even know, I've heard things that are crazy, like even if you used the modern day equipment that we have now, it would take, something like 6 years to build a replica, even now, with our technology of the pyramids. That they didn't have anything but little carving tools and bullshit. Yeah.